शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण कर्ण सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome again. My means I'm audible properly.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you
Very
very
clear.
much. So we'll start the overview of second chapter. Second chapter is called as Summary of Bhagavad Gita or Contents of Bhagavad Gita Summarized or Gita Saransh. This chapter is like a trailer of the whole Bhagavad Gita. You know, in a movie, how there is a trailer? Like that, chapter 2 is the trailer of the whole 18 chapters. Entire 18 chapters is there is a summary of all the chapters. All the concepts that are introduced are given in summary by Krishna in this chapter to Arjuna. So let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda, our deities in Mangalore, for whose pleasure we do all these things. This is what we did yesterday. Dhritarashtra's inquiry in verse 1, chapter 1, Kema Kurvat, and then Duryodhana's fear was discussed between verse 2 and 2 to 11. Mahatim Chamum Vyodham, and then blowing of different conches, 12 to 19, Hridyani Vradarayet, and then Arjuna's observation from verse 20 to 27, Kandivam Samsate Hastat, and then Arjuna gives reason for not fighting. What were the reasons that Arjuna gave for not fighting? Compassion. Krishna, my family is the object of my compassion. I cannot kill them. No enjoyment. If I kill my family, then who will I enjoy my life with? Sin. It is sinful to kill your teacher, to kill your grandfather. Family traditions will be destroyed if I. Family traditions will be destroyed if I slay the elders of the family. And today he'll talk about indecision. I am undecided. I know I am a Kshatriya. I'm supposed to fight, but I'm still undecided. So today's summary will be compassion. Arjuna gave reasons and Krishna will give answers. The whole chapter goes on between conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So Arjuna gave reason for compassion and Krishna is going to address it by giving him Jnana Yoga in verse 11 to 38, that we are not the body. I will bring this slide again at the end. Then Arjuna says no enjoyment, and Krishna will give him the knowledge of you are a Kshatriya. If you die in the battlefield, you will be elevated to heavenly planets. If you win, then you will have the whole kingdom to enjoy. So that's Karma Kand. Fear of sinful activities. Krishna is going to give the reason of Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, that in devotional activity there is no sin. He says, I'm undecided. Krishna says, what is that? Eke he Kurunandana, Vyavasatmika Buddhir, Eke he Kurunandana, serve the Lord with firm determination. Then Arjuna is going to ask the symptoms of Sthitadhir Muni. The symptoms of a person who is in pure transcendental consciousness. What are the symptoms? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? Then destruction of the dynasty reason given by Arjuna for not fighting will be addressed tomorrow in third chapter, where Krishna will tell him, be a role model. Okay, so I like this view. Compassion, Krishna is going to give reason of jnana. Enjoyment, no enjoyment, Krishna will say karma kand. Sinful activity, buddhi yoga. Destruction of dynasty, karma yoga. And then there is indecision, where he's going to say about serve the Lord with firm determination. So this is a verse which is a turning point in Bhagavad Gita, because this is a verse, the 7th verse in second chapter, where the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna is going to change. So far, Krishna and Arjuna were talking like friends. And friend to friend talk can be not serious. But now Arjuna is going to surrender to Krishna as a student. Karparnya dosho pahato swabhava pritchami tvam dharma samudh chetah yashreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasте aham sadhimam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty, and I have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So he is now a disciple and he asks Krishna to be his spiritual master because he can't decide. So we all need to make important decisions in our life every day, right? Every day, so many important decisions. Whole day goes on making decisions only. But there are some prominent decisions of life. Which college should I study in? What kind of a course should I take up? What job should I take? When should I retire? What should I do after my retirement? Right? Or where will my children go? How to save money for my children or for the family? So many decisions are needed. So a person who is in the mode of goodness will make decision by a paradigm of introspection. They will introspect before they act, and before they make a decision firmly to act on. There will be introspection, and that may involve talking to people who have had similar experiences in life or who are more experienced than them, or who are like approaching someone who is more superior. Basically, that is a quality of a person in mode of goodness. But that is also limited. Why? Because the people that they approach to or their own experience is limited. It's not complete, it's not over, it's not always going to work. There's no guarantee. Yes, it is better, because a person in the mode of passion will make a decision by indiscretion. Indiscretion means acting out without even thinking, just act out of a spurt. Or person in the mode of ignorance will be completely undecided, they cannot even make a decision. So mode of goodness is definitely better, where a person is trying to approach someone superior, someone more experienced, or trying to gather more information about their decision, but it is limited. So, how does a person in the spiritual platform make decision? Spiritual platform make decision by inspiration. They approach Guru, Sadhu, which are saintly people, and Shastras. They approach there. So, this approach of Arjuna to Krishna to make a decision is in the platform of spiritual life. It's an indication that he's on Shuddha Sattva platform, even beyond mode of goodness. So we need a guru. We need to be associated with saintly people. We need scriptures to teach us how to live and how not to live, because we cannot, because we are all limited. We can help each other to a certain extent only, not all in all. Okay, so Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna now. And the guru or Krishna is very serene. He is very quiet. Arjuna has tears. He looks distorted. He looks, bewildered. But Krishna does not. Krishna is like fixed. Sthitha, I was gonna say, is fixed. Okay, see, he has tears in his eyes because he's like approaching Krishna with a lot of empathy and a lot of confusion in his heart. Can you please help me? But Krishna is completely like, yeah, okay. Krishna is not affected by Arjuna's position at all. So, what is so special about Krishna, or why is Krishna God? So, I said that summary of all the chapters is given in this chapter. So, I believe what I see works when my vision or your vision is impeccably perfect. You know, if somebody says, "Show me God," unless and until I see Krishna and Krishna tells me himself that he is God, I'm not going to accept it. Well, okay, good for you. But the thing is that your vision has to be perfect to see Krishna. It's not. I have an eyelid on top of my eye. I have never seen it without the help of a mirror or without the help of some source or camera. I've never seen my own eyelid, or I've never seen my own brain. That doesn't mean that I don't have a brain and I don't have an eyelid, right? Because my vision is imperfect. I have an imperfect vision. I need to see through the vision of the Shastras, knowledge. I need the knowledge. That is what we say. So, who is Krishna? If I say that you're driving on a highway Okay, and it's a very quiet road and it's a very nice scenery. And on your left side, this kind of a scene comes. So you maybe you all can write to me. What do you see? What do you see in this picture? If you're driving on a highway and then you on your left side you see this. Somebody may say you can type. You can type. I'm reading. Then what do you see? Somebody may say, okay, I see water body. I see some clouds. I see some landscape. I see sky, horizon, reflection. Okay, cirrus clouds. Okay. Uh, Right. Now I tell you, okay, now park the car on the curbside and get down and go down the stairs and see more. Go more close because right now it only this is visible. Okay, go more close. Now what do you see? Which was not visible before? A tree. It was not visible before. Right? It was not visible when you were far away. Now you go closer, you see this. And I say, okay, now you see a tree, now go more close to the tree. Then you start defining, okay, tree has green leaves, it has branches, it has some twigs which are drying out, and it also has this parrot which is eating a fruit, which was not visible before. So depends on how much closer I get, I can see. Similarly, this is a very important concept. Similarly, thank you for writing. Similarly, Krishna is visible according to my degree of realization of Krishna. So, Krishna realization or God realization is different for different people depending on what their own elevation in Krishna consciousness is about. Somebody says that God is energy, just energy. Like you saw just the landscape and nothing in it. So, just energy. Some say God is energy. Okay, that's the Brahman realization of Krishna, Brahman realization that where God is only energy. But if somebody is more realized, then they can see that God has a feature, Paramatma realization, which is present in the heart, that four-handed form. If someone goes more beyond Paramatma realization, then Bhagwan realization, it comes. Okay? So there are different levels of realization of Krishna based on my own spiritual elevation in Krishna consciousness. So God is not just energy. It's compared to sun. Sun, okay, somebody can say, how do you know whether it's a daytime or nighttime? Just open the window and see outside. You see a sunshine. Okay, sunshine is one level of realization of presence of sun. But a more intelligent person will lift up their head and see in the sky that there is a disc-like structure. That realization is better than just the light. So there is a disc-like structure which is the source of all the light across the place that I'm seeing. But that realization is also not perfect. Someone who can enter the sun planet and can meet the sun god, who is the source behind the light. Also, that realization is perfect, which is compared to Bhagwan realization. So, for example, I'm gonna repeat: sunshine is compared to Brahman realization. Sun as a disk on the sky is compared to Paramatma realization of Krishna. And Sun God, meeting Sun God, person behind everything, is compared to Bhagwan realization of Krishna. Okay, so not everyone is on the same level. Then what was the first reason that Arjuna gave that I am not going to fight? What was the first reason? You can type, please. Please don't type questions. They're gonna go all unnoticed. Somebody is writing questions. Paramisham, Paramai. Please write your questions towards the end. This will go unnoticed. Yes, compassion. Very nice. So, compassion, Krishna, these are the objects of my compassion. And Krishna is addressed by Arjuna in that particular verse as Madhusudana. Madhusudana, there is a reason because Krishna killed demon called Madhu. So, Arjuna is saying that you also killed, but you killed a demon called Madhu. You are telling me to kill my family. So Krishna is going to answer. Krishna answers from verse number 11 to verse number 30 by giving him the knowledge of the soul, jnana. Tehino, this is one of the verse. Tehino asmin yatha dehe kamaram yavanam jara. Tatha deha antar praptir dhiras tatra namoyati. So dehino asmin yatha dehe means in this body there is a soul or proprietor of the body. Okay, Dehinosmin yatha dehe means it means two things. In the body, there is a proprietor of the body which sees the body. The proprietor of the body is just seeing the body going through these changes. What are the changes? Kamaram, young age or childhood. Yavanam. Kamaram is boyhood. Yavanam is young age. And Jara is old age. So the proprietor of the body, sitting in the body, sees the body going through these changes: boyhood, youthhood, and old age. Tatha, Deha, Anta, when the body ends. Thereafter, Prapti, the proprietor of the body gets another body. Dhiras Tatranamoyati, one who is dhira, sober, is not bewildered by such a change. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, so this is what is happening, that there is a soul in the body which sees the body going through these changes: the childhood, the youth, the old age. And when the body is no more able to hold the soul, grows very weak, the soul leaves the body and then goes to another body. This is called transmigration of the soul. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you're not the body. Your grandfather is not the body. They're the soul. And another property of the soul he describes. There's so many beautiful properties described between these verses. And interestingly, in chapter 2, Krishna spends maximum time in explaining the reason for compassion. Nainam Chidanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Na Chainam Kledyanti Apo, Na Shoshyati Maruta, Nainam Chidanti Shastrani. That soul is not cut by any weapons. Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, cannot be burned by fire. Na Chainam Kledyanti Apo, cannot be moistened by water. Na Shoshyati Maruta, cannot be withered by wind. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can it be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So that is the soul. That you're telling that you're going to kill, but what are you going to kill? The soul, your weapons are made of these things, but they're not going to touch the soul. Okay, but that doesn't mean, it does not mean that we have a right to kill anyone. Does not. Because the arrangement of Krishna, the soul is taking shelter in a particular body for a particular amount of time. The time is fixed for that particular soul in particular body. If I check the time artificially by killing someone, I incur sinful reaction because I interrupted in Krishna's decision. Cannot do it. Cannot. Okay, so for example, somebody is sitting in their house. We cannot just go and break their house because they are not the body, they are not the house. No, it is a discomfort to the soul taking shelter. But the soul itself is never destroyed. So Arjuna is answered by Krishna for the first reason for he is not going to fight for compassion by giving him the knowledge of the soul. Very, very powerful verses. So, what was the second reason that Arjuna gave to Krishna that he's not going to fight? What was the second reason? What was the second reason? No enjoyment. Yes, very nice. So, no enjoyment. So, Arjuna says, no enjoyment, Krishna. I am supposed to enjoy my family life with my family members, but my family members will be slain. Then, who am I going to enjoy my life with? Krishna gives him the knowledge of karma kand. Karma kand means I do an activity and I enjoy or suffer. You know how some people do some sacrifices for some particular desire that they have. Oh, God, fulfill my this wish, and then I will do this things for you, like that. So that's karma kand activity. That's not devotional service. That's karma kand. So like that, Krishna is using the same karma kand as a weapon to you answer Krishna Arjuna's query about no enjoyment. He says, if you're gonna die on the battlefield, then you're gonna enjoy the heavenly kingdom. If you're going to win the war, then you're going to enjoy the earthly planet. So there is enjoyment in either case. There is enjoyment. This is the verse from verse 31 to 37, but this is verse 37. Hato va prapyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshasi mahim. Okay, so hato va prapyasi swargam means if you die, you're gonna attain heavenly planets. Jitva va bhokshasi mahim. If you win, then you're gonna conquer the earthly planets. Tasmat uthishta kaunteya. Therefore, get up, O son of Kunti. Yuddhaya kritaya nishchaya. Fight with firm determination. There is a lot of myth around spirituality. People think spirituality is for people who have nothing else to do in their life as an escape for their laziness. But Krishna here, I don't know where this thought comes from. Every time I take this class, every time I put this question across, that I don't know where this thing germinated from, that one can be inactive in Krishna consciousness, or Krishna consciousness means inertia, or Krishna consciousness means armchair philosophy. No, Krishna, Arjuna wants to run away from the battlefield, but Krishna is telling him, fight. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. Not even once. You will study with us. Not even once Krishna told Arjuna that, okay, I am God. I can take care of you. You just take a break. You're too overwhelmed. Not even once. Not even one time it happened. Okay, so, O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly planets. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. So, and also, this is your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? He gives another reason for no enjoyment in another verse, that avacha vadimscha bahun. Avacha means unkind words. Vadishyanti tattavahitaha nindastava samarthyam tato dukkha daram na nukim. What are you going to do about that? You're a Kshatriya. You cannot fight your own nature. And for a Kshatriya to get insulted is worse than the death. They would rather die than get insulted. So Krishna is reminding him that you can't run away from your own nature. You can run away from people, but what are you going to do about your own self? So your enemies will describe you in many unkind words. You're standing here and you're telling me you're going to leave this battlefield because of this reason or that reason. Don't think that Duryodhana or Dronacharya or anybody on the other side is going to be very happy and very empathic towards your decision that, oh, thank God Arjuna left the war. Because if Arjuna would have fought, then we would have died. They're not going to think like that. They're going to scorn your ability, and that is going to be painful for you. So Krishna consciousness forces us to take care of ourselves. Krishna consciousness is such a beautiful thing that it forces us that take care of yourself. Arjuna, take care. Okay, so what was the another reason that Arjuna gave to Krishna, that I'm not going to fight? Reason number 3, sinful reaction. Very nice. Fear of sin. Very nice. Thank you. So Arjuna, Krishna is going to answer. Neha vikrama nashto asti pratyavayo na vidyate sotamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Krishna is going to say, you are going to fight on my order, which is equivalent to bhakti yoga. Anything that Krishna says, and we do it for Krishna through the via media of a spiritual master, not the via media of my own mind or my own intelligence. No, through the via media of the spiritual master. I do that, then that is devotional service. So in devotional service, there is no sin. And these are the examples from the Shastras. For example, Lord Hanuman. Lord Hanuman, when he went to Lanka to give message to Mother Sita from Lord Rama, he was caught by Ravana, and Ravana wanted to kill him. But his advisors told him that you cannot kill a messenger. That's against the laws. Okay, you cannot kill the messenger, but so put his tail on fire. Punish him. Right? So his tail was put on fire. What did Lord Hanuman do? He took advantage of the situation and burned the whole Lanka. Now, one can say that Hanuman, my dear Lord Hanuman, only Ravana was at fault. Why are you killing the entire Lanka? Right? Putting fire on someone's property is a sin. There are 6 kind of slayers, which is given in verse 36 of chapter 1, and one of the slayers is putting somebody who puts fire on others' property. All right, but this is not. Lord Hanuman is celebrated for what he did. Why? Because he did it in service to Lord Rama. He's celebrated. It is not sinful. Or we can say Vibhishan. Vibhishan was a brother of Ravana. Now, a brother is not supposed to go against another brother, and not only go against, but reveal the secrets of a brother to the enemy. Right? He was revealing the secrets of Ravana to Lord Rama. That is sinful in moral codes. But he celebrated. Tumaro mantra vibhishana mana. He celebrated. Why? Because he did it in service to Lord Rama. There's no sinful reaction there. And then there's this story from Upanishads where there was this rat who was very fond of eating cherry. So what happened one day? This particular rat somehow ended up on the altar of Krishna, where this lamp was burning. Now this lamp, the lamp light was wavering, but you see the shape of the lamp, the shape of the flame is similar to the shape of the cherry. So the rat thought that this is the cherry, and the light was wavering. It was almost going off. So the lamp jumped in the lamp, and the rat jumped in the lamp, thinking that it is a cherry to eat, and in the meantime it got burnt. But because it jumped in the lamp, the wavering flame was stabilized. Even though it died, the wavering flame was stabilized. And Krishna took it that this particular rat gave up his life to protect my lamp from wavering off. So he got liberated. He got liberated. So, in other words, even if I do a little bit of an endeavor to serve Krishna, a little bit, there is no loss. There is no loss. And Trayate Mahato Bhayat, it saves one from a very, very big danger of life. Very, very big danger when one gets saved. That is the meaning of this. Trayate Mahato Bhayat. What is the biggest danger in a devotee's life? That we may forget Krishna. I may get a body again of an animal where I will forget Krishna. That danger is gone now because one serves Krishna. Even a little bit. Little bit. So no sinful reaction. What was that another reason? In destruction of the family dynasty. So destruction of the family dynasty, a loss of tradition. Very nice. So this will be given tomorrow. That he says that Krishna says that not by not working are you going to save the destruction, your family from destroying, but by working you will save them. Okay, Krishna says in third chapter 24th verse, if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds will be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. We'll talk about it tomorrow in detail, but the verdict is the preceding conversation before this verse is that everyone wants to follow a leader. See, Mahajana Yena Gatha Sabantha. Everyone wants to follow a leader, and you being the leader, Arjuna, if you're not going to follow your prescribed duties and you're going to not work, then that is going to lead to Varna Shankara. If a leader doesn't do, then they will say, okay, our leader didn't do, why will I do? Then what is the last reason that Arjuna gives that I'm not going to fight? What is it? Please write to me. What is the last reason that Arjuna gives that I'm not going to fight? Very nice. Indecision. Arjuna says, I know I am a Kshatriya. I know theoretically that it is my duty to fight. But now I am undecided whether I should do it or not. It's like, there is a parent, a father or mother, and they say, we know that we are supposed to take care of our child. We know. But I can't make a decision whether I should take care or I should not take care. It is something like that. So he's saying I'm undecided. Krishna answers verse number 41, second chapter. Vyavasatmika buddhir eke he kurunandana bahushakai anantascha bodhyayo avyavasayinam. Krishna is saying become a vyavasatmika buddhi. Vyavasatmika buddhi means resolute in your determination, resolute in your intelligence. Don't chop off your intelligence into so many directions that I want to do this also, that also, that also. No. Eke he kurunandana. Have one aim, and that should be to serve me. Bahushaka hi anantascha. Bahushaka means multi-branch. The intelligence of those which is multi-branch, they cannot make a decision. You are not able to decide because your intelligence is getting chopped off. Whether you should take care of the family, whether you should take care of tradition of the family, or take care of the people of the kingdom, or you should fight? What should you do? So that's multi-branched. You're multi-branch. Come back in the center. Vivesatmika Buddhi. So this is Arjuna when he was learning archery from Dronacharya. He was challenged. He was a very exemplary student. He was challenged by Dronacharya that one time that shoot an arrow on the eye of the bird. So when Dronacharya was teaching him and he asked him, "What do you see, Arjuna?" And Arjuna said, "I see the eye of the bird." He did not say, "I see the beak, I see the beautiful head, I see so many colors, I see this, I see that." No, he was focused. He said, "I see the eye of the bird." Like that, you see, how can you serve me? And be resolute in your determination. Be resolute, because becoming resolute will give you peace in determination to serve Krishna. So Krishna immediately asked, sorry, um, after this conversation, that what is that person who's resolute in the determination? How does that person? What are the symptoms of that person? How does that person talk? How does that person sit? How does that person walk? He asked these four questions. Following this, so Sthita Dhir Muni, Arjuna asked Krishna, "O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak?" Number one, symptoms. Number two, how does he speak? Number three, what is his number three? How does he speak? What is his language? Number three, how does he sit? Number four, how does he walk? Krishna is telling him, right? Become a Vyavasatmika Buddhi. Then Arjuna is asking, how does that person, what are the qualification? What are you trying to make me? And that person is called Sthita Dhir Muni. Okay, Arjuna is asking, Krishna is answering. That is a relationship between spiritual master and the disciple. So, question asked by Arjuna: what are the symptoms of one whose transcendence is merged in your consciousness? Krishna answers in verse 55. How does he talk? Krishna answers in verse 56, 57. How does he sit? Krishna answers in verse 58 to 63. How does he walk? Krishna answers in verse 64 to 72. Okay, so symptoms. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partho Manogatan Atmani Evatmana Tushtaha Sita Pragnastadochyate. Prajahati Yada Kaman. The blessed Lord said, "O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness." So we are outsourcing our happiness in so many directions in today's world. We are outsourcing it. We are outsourcing that I will be happy if I have a latest model of a phone. I will be happy if I can improve my living condition in this and this fashion. I will be happy if my package for my job will go up from this amount to that amount. So we are outsourcing. My happiness is now dependent on these things. But a person who is Sthitadhir Muni is able to give up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction. These desires are coming from mental concoction. It is something like I was reading last night, like a deer. There is an example of a deer in the Shastras who is very thirsty but cannot see the water the well covered by the leaves. Cannot see, but he's running here, there, everywhere to look for water. Cannot see it's right there. Like that, a person who is not in Krishna consciousness is looking for happiness out there, in there, like that. But Krishna says within, satisfaction in the self alone. Once we understand a little bit now, because Prabhupada is on a transcendental platform, but if somebody understands a little bit, then they are able to bring themselves back. It's not that we don't go out, it's not that we don't get deviated or distracted, but one is able to bring oneself back to the center. Whereas the person who has no knowledge of this is, lost, basically. This is Prahlad Maharaj. He's Sthitadhir Muni. He is attacked by so many deadly weapons, serpents thrown away from the top of a mountain on a rocky road, on a rocky bottom, or even thrown in the fire by his own father. Of all the people, by his own father. Father is a symbol of protection to the child. By his own father, he's been His life is facing so many trials every day, but he's fixed. Why? Because his mind is finding satisfaction in the self alone. Okay, so this is again Prahlad Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is Sthita Dhir Muni. So many hurdles Srila Prabhupada crossed over to preach Krishna consciousness. For who? He's fixed. He's a sannyasi. He's happy. He could have just stayed in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. Why he took all the trouble to come to America? To adopt the American lifestyles or to improvise his living or to earn more money? No. And no. And no. Then why? To give us Krishna consciousness. Right? So this is Titadhir Muni, very, very compassionate, Karuna Sindhu, fixed in purpose. The next question was, how does that person talk? So that question means that, okay, if this person in Siddhadhir Muni is sometimes, how does that person interact with the onslaughts of material nature on them and the sufferings that they face? How does that happen? Dukheshva anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigatasparaha vita raga bhaya krodha sthitadhir munir uchyate. One who is not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called at the stage of steady mind. Okay, so they don't change their speech because their mind does not get agitated. We change our speech. We sometimes talk loud, we sometimes talk soft, we sometimes talk in a very melodious or submissive way. Why? Because my mind is dictating, talk like this. Now your desire, this is matched, this is fulfilled. Now change your speech in this manner. This desire is not fulfilled, shout, fight, right? But the person who is Titadhir Muni, the mind is steady. Their speech does not change, not disturbed, in spite of threefold miseries. What are the threefold miseries? Threefold miseries is one because of one's own body and mind. That is called adhyatmic. One suffers because of one's own body and mind. Another one is one suffers because of someone else. So that's some other, like coronavirus, for example. That's called adibhatik. And then the third suffering is adidevik because of higher authorities, like a lot of snow, a drought, a lot of rainfall, like all those things. They're not. So that is the speech. How does a person sit? Krishna explains in verse 58 to 63. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So they interact with the world and they bring out their senses to acquire stuff only for Krishna's purpose, only to satisfy Krishna. And when their purpose is fulfilled, they draw it back inside. Like a tortoise comes out of the shell, does whatever it has to, and then goes back. It does not just stay out and goes on exploring or adventuring around. There is nothing to adventure around in this world. Okay, so this is how Asthita Dirmuni sits. So we discussed how the symptoms sit. Then there's a walk. I will come. The walk is also described in the verse that that person can will only use their senses for the satisfaction of Krishna. They will not. They will be fixed. Their walking is not random. They will be fixed. Now I came across this chart in my Bhakti Shastri. I thought I'll bring it up. That material vision versus spiritual vision. This is the materialistic vision. Disturbed by dualities, heat, cold, winter, summer, disturbed. And they think that body is me because the disturbance is to the body and mind. So the consciousness is fixed or the identity is fixed that I am the body or I am the mind. And thinks that when the body dies, I die. So then they are attacked by anxiety and perplexities. But a person in spiritual vision who is fixed or Sitadir Muni is tolerant. The word is tolerant in all situations because we are on our ocean. You see, where even if somebody is sitting on a very, very strong ship, the very fact that they are in an ocean, there are going to be some ups and downs. So one has to learn to be tolerant to things which we cannot change. Soul is eternal, does not die or take birth. That we study today. Nainam Chidanti Shastrani, Nainam Dhati Pavaka. Same, cannot be cut, burned, destroyed, killed or be killed. Body dies, always changes, but soul remains the same. because body is matter and matter has a shelf life. Anything that is material has a shelf life, and the soul pervades the entire body. When we can understand the presence of soul in a body by consciousness. Okay, so now Arjuna asked another question. Okay, if somebody is fixed, then why is one impelled to do something which is not, which is contrary to self-realization? Why would anyone do anything contrary to self-realization if this knowledge is available to each one of us? Then Krishna answers, Dhyayate Vishyana Punsaha Sangasta Teshu Pujayate Sangasta Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodhat Abhijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhishitam Smriti Vibhishite Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashayati. So Krishna says, while contemplating the objects of senses, just by contemplating, thinking, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger develops. From anger, there is delusion. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When the memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when the intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. I will explain. So, why someone falls down from the platform of spiritual realization when there's so much happiness in spiritual realization? So Krishna is saying this is the 8-step fall down process given in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter itself. People who are trying to do so big research, that Prabhupada gave interview in Chicago once. He said he read on the Times magazine cover, crime, why, and what to do. That was the title of the Times magazine, and Prabhupada gave lecture on that. Crime, why, and what to do. And in there he explained this. Why somebody does a criminal activity? Contemplating the objects of senses. Here we have given example from a girl looking at a boy or a boy looking at a girl. Just looking from far away. Contemplating the objects of senses. There is this desire that I would like to be associated with this particular person. So that desire develops into an attachment. Just by contemplation, attachment develops. From attachment, lust develops. Lust is described in Chaitanya Chaitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada. He describes lust as Atma Indriya Tripti Vancha Taro Nam Kam. Krishna Indriya Tripti Vancha Taro Nam Prem. So lust is described as Atma Indriya Tripti Vancha Taro Nam Kam. Atma Indriya means any activity done to satisfy one's own senses is called as lust. Any activity, not just union of a girl or a boy. No, if I want to go out and taste so much varieties of food in so many restaurants without offering to Krishna, that's lust. If I have 10 saris and I want a 11th one just because I want, not because I need, that is lust. Okay, if I have enough money for sustenance of my livelihood, but I want more and more and more just for the sake of wanting, that is lust. So contemplating the objects, one develops attachment. From attachment, lust develops. The lust is never satisfied. Never satisfied. There is a very nice verse in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Kamadhinam katina kalita palita durinidesha tesham jatamai na karuna na kripa no pashanti. So Kamadhinam, oh wow, the one Brahmin is praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that I have tried to satisfy the senses all my life, my senses or senses of my family or senses of my society. Kamadhinam katina kalita. I have joined too. Day and night I have joined. I have worked so hard. Karina Karita Palita Durinidesha. Tesham Jatamai Na Karuna. Na Karuna, but no one has mercy on me. Na Kripa. Nobody is full of gratitude. No one is saying thank you. Na Pashanti. No one is at peace. I have tried to work so hard to satisfy my senses of the society, but nobody has even has mercy on me. They say, okay, you have to work more and more to help us to satisfy our senses, or you work for your own senses more and more. No gratitude, no thank you, and no peace. Nothing. So, because lust is never satisfied, anger develops. Anger means there is some need which is not met and is mostly material. one very elevated spiritual personality in ISKCON. He said, anger is one word less than danger. From anger, what happens? What happens from anger? Delusion develops. One gets deluded. Who am I? Who are you? And from delusion, memory becomes bewildered. Right? The people who did not even know each other, when they come together, now they are fighting with each other. They did not even know. Their life was going on without each other. But now, when they come in the name of a relationship, they start fighting. Why they start fighting? Because they never actually loved each other. They loved their own desires. The man wanted to satisfy his own desire, the woman wanted to satisfy her own desire. Not met. Then delusion, bewilderment of memory, and then fights. Sometimes we hear the cases, right? Domestic violence. Why? People who did not know each other, how are they hitting each other? How? Because anger. Why? Lust not satisfied. Then memory is bewildered. Person forgets that this is my inferior, this is my subordinate. I am supposed to give care to them. People fight and people try to harm their own children. Forget about anyone else. Small children get affected by their fights. Why? Because the memory is lost. And when the memory is lost, intelligence is lost. And when the intelligence is lost, one cannot discriminate what to do, what not to do. Where did it start? Where did it start? From contemplation of sense objects. And then one falls down, does a sinful activity. Okay, so this is the eighth step, fall down. While contemplating the objects of senses, one develops attachment for them, and from attachment, lust develops. Lust is never satisfied. Anger develops. From anger, delusion develops. From delusion, bewilderment of memory develops. From bewilderment of memory, intelligence is lost. When the intelligence is lost, then one falls down again in the material pool, does a sinful activity, things which are contradictory. Okay, this is the last part of the verse. Okay, I had made a slide for walking. Okay, how does that person walk? Sitadir Muni. A person who's free from all attachment and aversion and is able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Krishna explains between verse 64 and 72 how does that person walk. That person is not walking around the world to fulfill their attachments or to go away from their aversions. They are able to control their senses through the regulative principles of freedom. So Prabhupada gave four regulative principles, and we call it as regulative principles of freedom, like no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit relationships. So the four principles Prabhupada gave, and they are four regulative principles of freedom. One gets freed from their material existence. So this is an overview of second chapter. So Arjuna gave reason to Krishna, compassion. I'm not going to fight Krishna because my family is the object of my compassion. Krishna gave knowledge of the soul in verse 11 to 30. We are not the body. Your compassion is wrongly directed. You are compassionate. For the analogy given in second chapter for this is a drowning man. Let me ask you, if a person is drowning, what is more important, the shirt that the person is wearing or the person? What should we save? You can type me the answer. What should be saved? The person or the shirt of the person? Very nice. I think people are writing person. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for unanimously agreeing to one thing, and that is the person. Like that, when a person, the body is important or soul is important? Soul is important. So we're not the body. But that doesn't mean that we can kill. Then no enjoyment. Arjuna says no enjoyment. Krishna says, well, my dear, there is something called Karma Kand in verse 31 to 37. You will enjoy. If you die on the battlefield, you will enjoy the heavenly kingdom. And if you win, then you will enjoy the earthly planet. Arjuna says fear of sinful activities. Krishna introduces the concept of Buddhi Yoga. Just remember this word Buddhi Yoga for tomorrow's class, okay? Buddhi Yoga is synonymous for Bhakti Yoga, but he takes Buddhi Yoga as intelligence. Where Krishna explains that devotional service, there is no sin. And I gave example of Lord Hanuman, Vibhishan, or the mouse which jumped in the fire. So no sin. Devotional service, there is no sin. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. But we have to be sure that we are doing devotional service. And how can we be sure? Because we have to follow the order of Guru, spiritual master, sadhu, saintly people, and Shastra. So then that is devotional service, not something which is coming out of my own mind. Arjuna says, I'm undecided. I know I am a Kshatriya. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I still can't decide. Krishna gives the answer in 2.41. Serve the Lord with determination. Vivasatmika buddhir eke he kuru nandana. Serve him. Serve me. Krishna says, serve me. With determination. You are bahushaka anantascha. You are multi-branching your intelligence. Here also, there also. Bring it back. Don't get chopped off. And then immediately Arjuna asks, so what are the symptoms of that person who's determined, who's resolute? The Sthita Dhir Muni. So Krishna explains. He asks the questions in 54th verse, and from 55th to 72nd verse, Krishna goes on answering. Symptoms, how does he sit, how does he talk, how does he walk? Person in pure transcendental consciousness. Then Arjuna says the reason, destruction of dynasty. If I kill the elders of the family, the dynasty will be destroyed. Tomorrow we will discuss that be a role model to prevent Varna Shankara in verse 18 to 36 in third chapter. Okay, so I have questions for you before I show you something. I have a video to show and I have some questions. So please stay back if anyone has to leave early. So you're ready to poll? All right, go for it. What was Arjuna undecided about? Or it should be undecided. Okay, what was Arjuna undecided about? Whether to kill his kinsmen or not, whether the fighting was sinful or not, whether it was his duty to fight, all of the above. What was his indecision about? And you have the answer right behind you. Okay, so far 47% of the class has voted. Now 50% has voted. Thank you. I think we can go a few more seconds. Okay, I'm gonna end the voting and I'll share the results. Thank you. So 81% of the class says 206 people are saying all of the above, which is a correct answer. Some person are saying one or two options, but then he was undecided about everything, whether to kill or not, whether fighting was sinful or not, whether it's duty or not. Okay, so all of the above is the answer. Now, one more question. All right, go for it. Dehino asmin yatha dehe means. Remember, I showed you. Maybe I can bring up the verse. The soul sees the body undergo different changes. The body sees the soul undergo different changes. The mind and body see the soul undergo different changes. The mind sees the body undergo different changes. The language is tricky. Be careful. Who is seeing who? I'm going to bring up. This is the verse is behind you and the screen. Who is seeing who? The language is tricky. Be careful. Okay, few more seconds. So far, only 57% have voted. I think it's because of the trickiness of the language. Dehino asmin yatha dehe. In this body, there is a proprietor of the body. This line. Okay, few more seconds and I'm going to end the polling. So far, 72% have voted. All right, so we're going to end the polling. Let me share the results. Yes, so 74% of the classes, 205 people are saying the soul sees the body undergo different changes, which is the correct answer. There is a proprietor of the body, which is sitting in the body. See the soul, which is seeing the body going through these changes. Kamaram, Yavanam, Jara. Kamara means childhood, Yavanam means youth, and Jara means old age. All right. And I have one video to show all of you. This is a movie that was made on Srila Prabhupada. It's a trailer of the movie, like we did the trailer of Bhagavad Gita today. Like I have a trailer of movie called Hare Krishna, the mantra, the movement, and Swami who started it all. Prabhupada's disciples made this movie. Enjoy the trailer. It's about Srila Prabhupada. It's a very nice movie.
My spiritual master is calling.
He said that he would like to go to America.
I said, are you crazy? The old man, you are going to die.
Someone told you the story, you wouldn't believe it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
He's 70 years old, he has no money, he's starting an effort, and it turns into an international movement.
Everyone is thinking, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm European, I'm Australian, but I'm not this body. I am spirit soul.
He looked like the Prime Minister of the galaxy.
Prabhupada was quite unlike any teacher we'd ever known. There was no gap between what he spoke and what he lived.
The Vedic scriptures gave some sort of backbone to my life.
People were joining left and right. Everywhere people went, there were Hare Krishnas.
Many would consider members of the Hare Krishna sect to be dangerous religious fanatics, but the Krishnas say they're simply misunderstood.
People would kidnap us and try to deprogram us.
The more he got attacked, the more energized he became. Prabhupada loved a good fight.
He was actually bringing some kind of ray of light to the right place.
Regardless of race, of religion, of nationality, we are all brothers and sisters.
If I see this person, this soul, struggling just like I'm struggling in my body, I have a reason to love you. That's deep.
His words carry so much power. It's a full expression of his heart that comes through.
The perfection of this life is to understand oneself. This is the beginning.
Okay, I just want to share one more information. I forgot. If you have any question, please don't put it in the WhatsApp groups about the class. You can if you have technical questions, feel free to put it in the WhatsApp group, but not the questions about the chapter, the philosophy. So either you can ask it, either you can ask it in the class here, or if it's not possible, then you can email it to me. This is my email, ujenglish20@gmail.com. We will share the email today. And I'm going to go over the quiz link with all of you. We have been getting a lot of queries about quiz link. So let me go over that before we take your questions. Okay, so this is my email. We will start sharing it from today. The quiz link, you are all requested to enroll in the link that was given to all of you in Teachable. You have to have your unique username and password. If you don't have the username and password, then you have to make one. We cannot do anything about it. We can put, then once you enroll, it's free of cost. Or if you have had a username and password from before, like another batches, then you need to have a unique email, because every course needs a unique email. You cannot use your same email which you have used before. Once you open, this screen will look like this. You'll have this Understand Gita in 18 Days English batch 10. You're in English class. We will only release the chapter for that particular day. We are not going to release all the 18 chapters in the same time. Okay, so I'm going to go over with chapter 1 with you. This is a college level software. So when you go, this is going to be your view. This is your view. Okay, so then you have to solve these quizzes. There are 10 questions, as you can see. So which personality spoke in Bhagavad Gita first? So if I say, okay, Dhritarashtra, then you say check. And if it is correct, then you continue. Like that, you have to answer all the 10 questions. After you answer all the 10 questions and score minimum 60%, you still need to go down. Don't click complete and continue yet. Don't, because it's not going to let you go. You still need to scroll down and see everything. These are the slides which I showed you yesterday. The PDF, you can download these slides from here. All right. And then go down more. You have to look at everything. You may not have to watch the video, but you have to browse through what all things are given to you. This is Gita Mahatmya. If you want to download, you can download from here. These are different videos that Namanishta Prabhu has uploaded for all of you to have. And this is the class in case somebody missed the class. Then there is a class here from before. This is not the same class as we did yesterday, but it is a class from chapter 1. Okay, and then if you want to leave a comment, you can leave a comment. After that, after doing all this, you have to go back up on the top and then click complete and continue to go to chapter 2. All right. So it's very self-explanatory. There is no hard and fast rule. You don't need to be a PhD in computer science to do this. You just have to follow the steps. So you cannot just finish the quiz and then complete and continue. It is not going to let you. You have to go down and scroll down the page. Okay. And you will need a unique ID. So we can take up some questions. I'm going to make a breakout room for Rupa Mataji. Are you ready? Can I give you a breakout room, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so I'm going to make a breakout room where, because it's a huge class, some of the people can join with Rupa Mataji and she will be able to answer some of your questions too. And I will bring everyone back in 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes,
Rupa
Mataji.
Mataji. Okay, so I'm going to open it up for you. And maybe Madhuri Mataji can help you. Mataji, Rupa Mataji, if you want. Okay, all of you, feel free to join. The room is open. And whoever is staying back in the main room with me, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Do we get the quiz questions? You have the quiz questions all in chapter in the teachable link. We are not going to email or WhatsApp or do anything. It is all in the link which I showed you over here. You have to enroll, and once you enroll and you log in, you will see this chapter 1 quiz. Okay, and then these are the quiz questions here. The life cannot get more simple than this. Binni Mataji, yes.
So what I want to know is about the unique ID that you were talking about.
There are people in this class who are not attending this class for the first time. They have attended with us other batches also.
Yeah.
So if they want to take the quiz again for the sake of certificate one more time, then they need to have another email ID attached. They cannot use the same email ID.
Okay.
Okay.
So suppose I haven't completed it earlier in the last session.
You
can
still
I
have to make
complete
another email. No, you still have to make another
that
email
cannot
ID.
be used again, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, please ask me questions. This is thank you, Mataji, for sticking to today's questions. So please ask questions from today's chapter, not from here, there, everywhere, for the sake of time. I may say no to answer to you if the questions are not directed or resolute in purpose. Madhuri Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Earlier you had said that Guru is very important. Now my question is, how do we find a Guru? Like, how do we know, this is a particular person who will be my Guru?
Mataji, so there are different types of Gurus. One is called Chaitya Guru. Let me show you the slide I made for detailed class. 1 second. Chaitya Guru is a Paramatma in the heart. First is one has to have a very sincere desire to have a Guru. First begins with that. It begins, the search for Guru begins with the desire to have one. Okay, I'm going to show you this slide. Sorry. So, one is called as Chaitya Guru, the Lord in the heart, which is Paramatma. So that the Lord in your heart is listening for sure. Are you sure And then we get directed to someone called Patha Pradakshaka Guru. Means, let's say I'm walking on the road and I want to go to Krishna temple, and I ask a person on the road, can you tell me where the temple is? Then that person gives me a direction. Doesn't matter whether they are following or not, doesn't matter whether you'll meet them again or not, but just because they gave the direction, they get the respect of being Patha Pradakshaka Guru. And then if someone is more sincere, then they get in touch with somebody called Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru is a person who's a guide, teacher, or supporter who answers questions. Siksha Guru is a person, one can have more than one Siksha Guru. One can have many, many Siksha Gurus, many, many guides, many, many teachers. But Siksha Guru is a person who is also very serious in their own Krishna consciousness. And then if one is more convinced, then one meets their Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru is the one who gives initiation, who connects to the Parampara. So this all comes. So far, if someone is sincere, then they can see that 3/4 path they have already crossed. Only 1/4 is remaining. So this will also come by the mercy of Krishna if one is convinced. Okay, you don't have to go.
So regular prayer to Krishna that I need a guru can do the job.
Yeah, you can recite that sixth verse of this chapter. Karpadne dosho pahato sabhava. Yeah, that's when Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna as a spiritual master. Or Hare Krishna Maha Mantra itself is asking for service to Krishna. The meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is, "Oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service." So when we ask for engagement, we automatically are asking for Guru.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Actually, one more question regarding the soul. You say soul enters the body after death, right? I mean,
no,
soul
migrates to another body.
Yeah, another body, yeah. So, so the emotions that we carry in this birth, like the soul also carries those emotions, or soul is like entirely different?
Soul is covered by gross body that you can see. I can see myself, like I see myself made of this body. I have 2 eyes, 1 nose. I see this structure.
Yeah.
And then there is another body within this. This called subtle body, which is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. I have a mind, but you can't see my mind. I have intelligence, you can't see my intelligence. So is true for you. I have a false ego thinking that I'm a body. You also have it. So the soul is covered by the subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego, and is covered by a gross body, which is what we see grossly. So when we die, only the gross body dies. The mind, intelligence, and false ego covering is still there, where these emotions and past life experiences are sitting. Soul is completely independent, but it is that mind which carries.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Devara Shetty Suresh Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I got doubts of yesterday quiz. Can I ask?
Prabhu, quiz? Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Yesterday I attended the quiz, yesterday class, chapter 1, and I got 7 out of 10. But I got the remaining 3 I wanted to get clarification.
Prabhu, whatever question we are putting you in the quiz, so there is always going to be a reference to the verse. So you just have to go and read that reference. You don't need to ask anyone. For example, this verse. Let me speak. For example, Duryodhana speaks to which of the following teachers in Bhagavad Gita as it is. The reference is chapter 1, verse 3. Go and open this verse and then there will be answer over there.
But actually the same thing happened. I tried, but Rishikesh. So I did not. Why we call Krishna as a Rishikesh?
Because he's a proprietor. What is the meaning of the word Rishikesha? Rishikesha means proprietor of the senses. He is the proprietor of our senses. He is the owner.
I mean, actually, in that reference, I did not find the answer. I think so. That is what I felt. That's the reason I am asking the question.
Which question is that?
That Rishikesh only. This is one
what
of the.
What question number is that?
I don't know exact number, but maybe it is the 5th question or 6th question.
Okay, let's
open that once again. Chapter. Similarly.
I have to go to another view because otherwise we'll waste a lot of time. Prabhu, if you tell me the verse number, I'll be able to tell you. Otherwise, I'll have to solve all the questions and go from there. 1 second, or we have another way. Give me a second.
And similarly, there is one more question.
But Hrishikesha means the proprietor of all senses. The meaning will be there in the word meaning. You have to read Prabhupada's purport
That means
in the Bhagavad Gita.
it is not only the text we have to read. We have to read all the
Yes.
contents of
You have to open the book and you have to read the entire verse, meaning by word, and then purport translation, every single thing. We cannot solve these questions without looking at the. Without looking at.
Like
So
that,
what question is that? Significant of the word Dharamkshetra. Arjuna calls Krishna as Madhava. Krishna.
one more question, that is, oh Krishna.
Why is Krishna called Rishikesh? Chapter 1, verse 15. Director of the senses and mind of every living entity. I think you did not open the book. I honestly think. I'm going to teach you how to open the book. So you open this Bhagavad Gita as it is, which we have shared in your WhatsApp group, which you can download.
Yeah.
And then go to verse number 15.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then let me check the remaining 2 more questions I had, but I know.
Prabhu, Hrishikesha, Krishna, the Lord who directs the senses of the devotees.
Okay.
It's there. Okay.
Okay. Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vijay Lakshmi Mataji, please unmute yourself. Vijay Lakshmi Mataji. And then Pradeep Chavan Prabhu. Vijay Lakshmi Mataji, you are unmuted. Do you have a question? Your hand is raised.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I have 2 questions to ask. One is like when Arjuna is asking Krishna, I mean, once he says that he doesn't have, he says that 4 reasons why he is not willing to fight, right? 7 reasons for not fighting, sinful.
No, 5 total reasons, not 7. 5 total reasons.
The first
given
one.
in chapter 1.
Yeah. First thing is he says he doesn't have any compassion. He does. He says that 5 reasons. Can you just explain me the first one? Because first one I was like
He's saying
on
that
the way.
they are the objects of my compassion. My family is an object of my compassion.
Compassion, correct.
Not my enviousness, not my anger. Compassion. That's the reason he's giving.
Okay. So I was on the way back from my office. I just missed that first thing. I just wanted to ask you about that.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Pradeep
Hare
Chavan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Then Sanjay B. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, it is so wonderful to see this kind of new venture which has been recently started by all you devotees. You won't believe the kind of happiness which we are getting just by listening to you. It's amazing. To be very honest with you, I would like to thank on the behalf of all the listeners, right? Because the COVID situation was there the entire last year. We did so many things, but the kind of venture you people have started, this is the one which is giving a fantastic happiness, a piece of advice which you people are giving. It's amazing. Thank you so much. I have no question, just wanted to compliment all your efforts.
Thank you so much for appreciation and acceptance, and I hope your life gets filled with spiritual happiness. Then the external things will not matter, or they will matter, but they will not be of so importance. Thank you. Sanjay B. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just
Hare
wanted to know, yesterday I had completed the quiz 10 of 10. I just wanted to know whether that was just a demo or I need to repeat it today. And if yes, I'll do so. However, and secondly, should I need to retain a screenshot kind of thing, or the record meetings automatic?
Demo, I didn't understand. So if you completed the quiz and if you completed looking at all the material that we have provided you, not just the quiz. For example, I told you, right,
I have checked out all the material. Yes. And the quiz was there yesterday. I have completed the quiz 10 of 10. I just wanted to know whether that was just a demo open because you're explaining it today. Should I need to do it again today?
No, you don't, because yesterday we shared, so many people enrolled only yesterday, so they don't know. You completed, they are kind of ahead then. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Then you have to
Thank you.
click complete and continue and do chapter 2 today.
Okay, great. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay. Hi Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Meenakshi Mataji, hi Krishna. Once again, Meenakshi Mataji. Rupa Mataji, any questions from your class? Rupa Mataji.
Mataji, we answered, but there was one devotee was asking a question, but we had to come to the main session, main room.
Oh, I ended the class. So I
Yeah,
ended.
yeah. She answered it and I answered, but then she was in the middle of a question, one Mataji. Then we had to come to the main room again. So you can ask.
I time it for 10 minutes, so it will
Yeah,
close at 10 minutes.
that's what Rupa Mataji was saying. 10 minutes is done. Now we have to go.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
we can ask you. Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Let's see. Do you know who it was?
Break first time. I didn't know it was going to break. I
Okay.
didn't know the 10th
Lot
session.
of people, Mataji, there were a lot of hands raised. Actually, we answered 4 questions, I think 4 or 5 questions, and then there were some more people who wanted to ask.
A lot of people had.
Okay, thank you. We'll see. Yes, Meenakshi Mataji, very quickly. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji. I have two questions in my mind, which is bothering me since long time, not today.
Mataji, please make sure they're related to chapter 2.
Yes, it is related to today's chapter. One is when we talk about on the soul level, when we say we shouldn't please our senses, we should do according to our soul, which is immortal. Then I just wanted to understand that since the Krishna which I see in the Mahabharata Yudh, who is just telling us everything, this Gita to Arjuna, he is also mortal. And in him also there is some immortal soul. And when every living being is imbibed with immortal soul, then why we manifest this God with some humanly manifestation?
I don't think I understood. You're saying that Krishna himself is immortal, and so why, and soul is immortal, so why do we have a body? Is that what your question is?
No. My question is that if soul is immortal and soul is the part of the superpower, we say that this whole cosmos is run by some superpower, it has a super soul and we are part of that super soul, and we should bother about the soul. Soul cannot be created nor destroyed. We shouldn't care about the senses. We should, like these things. So I'm just a bit confused that Krishna was also mortal in the Mahabharata Yuddha. Then why we embodies all this supernatural God in the form of the Krishna's body? First thing.
Mataji, you need a lot of editing. I'm sorry. So one is that Krishna, what is that? Namam Dishkritana Mudha, Prapadyante Naradhama. So, those are the 4 kind of people who don't surrender to Krishna. Krishna is not mortal. Who said Krishna is mortal? Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, who is Sachidananda Vigraha. Brahma is celebrating Krishna as Ishvaraha Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda. So whoever has told you, first of all, they're not referring to the Shastras. That is the product of one's own mental concoction, and we don't pay attention to anyone's opinion. Srila Prabhupada has strictly told we give references from the Shastras. Every word we say, there is a reference. There is no importance to anyone's opinion here. Personal opinion does not matter, not even mine. What does Shastra say? What does Srila Prabhupada say? What does the saintly people say? All right. This is called something called evidence-based spirituality. I don't know what is the evidence behind your talk. I don't know. Because that's not what Bhagavatam says. That's not what Bhagavad Gita says. That's not what Brahma Samhita says. Krishna is celebrated as Sat. Sat means eternal. First quality. First. Eternal means it is not affected by time factor. Our body is mortal. Why? It is asat. Why? Because we have a past, present, and future. We are affected by time factor. And time factor origin is described in 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna is Sat first, then Krishna is Chit. Chit potency means full of knowledge. Krishna's body is full of knowledge. Our body is full of ignorance. If I ask you how many hair are on your head, you will not know. I also don't know. How many times a day do you blink your eyes? You will not know. I also don't know. Why? Because our body is full of ignorance. Avidya jal, Sharira avidya jal. But Krishna's body is full of knowledge. Chit. Ananda means bliss. Krishna's body is full of happiness. This body where we're living right now is full of problems. I have to gain weight, lose weight. Oh, I wish my features were like this. My back is hurting, my head is hurting, my mind is hurting. Something or the other is hurting only. So it is full of Nirananda. But Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda. I don't know what is the source. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is established as an authority by great acharyas, by great demigods, by everyone. So what is my importance in that? You just have to hear a little bit more. You're asking me a question from 4th chapter, but I answered it. But the question, you're saying that how Krishna is God, then you have to hear it out. I told you, I think it was you, cause and effect. Was it you yesterday that I answered cause and effect?
Yes, it was
So
I.
cause and effect. So you have to understand what is cause and effect. You asked me, how do you know what you're doing is authentic or not? Well, how do you know? Because at the end, you get convinced that who am I? Who is Krishna? Who are other people? You get the real knowledge. There is no ignorance. We don't stay in ignorance. We give references, what Lord Shiva is saying, what Vyasdev is saying, what Prabhupada is saying, what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, because they are kings. Prahlad Maharaj is a king. He's not a monger on the street who needs something and is now going to temple to eat. No. Yudhishthira Maharaj is a king, right? Dhruva Maharaj is a king. They are kings, but they are worshipping Krishna. Ambrish Maharaj is a king. They don't have any ulterior motive to worship Krishna other than just pure devotional service. I think you just need to hear a little more.
Okay, thank you.
If you stay, okay? Or you can just email me and then I can write the references to you in the email.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Satya Sudha Reddy, yes, very nice, very quickly.
Yes, I have two questions. One, we've learned that Krishna encourages Arjuna to do his duty for the sake of Dharma. And it is also said that every act has to be for Krishna, not to satisfy one's sense organs. But how does such a society exist? Like a society where everybody does things for Krishna, not out of attachment for each other. Then we don't have any progress. There won't be any invention. How do you manage that to do your work yet keep Krishna in the center in everyday life? How do you achieve that?
So you are making it sound like that Krishna consciousness is dull. There are no feelings. Yes, because you're saying no attachment. We are very attached to each other. In Krishna consciousness, we're very attached to each other through the via media of Krishna. There is a story. I'm going to tell you a story. There's an invisible string, okay, which attaches me to you, even though I can't see you, and then to each and every person sitting in this room. There is an invisible string which attaches each other. So what is that string made of? That string is made of love. Where is that love coming from? That love is coming from the soul. So who is this original love where we can repose? Krishna. So a person who is Krishna conscious does not want to harm even a small ant in the room because it sees the soul and super soul sitting in that heart. So much attachment and love.
Right.
Okay,
Very quickly, let me just once again ask, because for me, when I heard the word love, I imagined it to be sensory. Like, of course, when you love a person, you're also attached to them in
that
other
is your definition, and that's not Shastric definition.
Right. All right. Then. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, that's your definition, and that's the most common definition going around. That love means, in Shastras, love is defined as service.
All right.
And service. It's not that I can exploit someone in the name of love. Love means service. Like if a mother loves her children, means that she's serving her children. That's the reason why the love is coming and blossoming, right? If a friend is loving another friend, then they're serving that friend. They're doing something for that friend. So if I say that I love Krishna, then I'm doing something for Krishna. And if I'm doing something for Krishna, then I'm doing for everything. Everybody, every single person has the same kind of what do I say? Same kind of problem, basically. Foundational problems are same across the world.
Yes.
So how can we? And I think you heard in the trailer of the movie today that somebody was saying that if I see that there is a soul in the body and that person is suffering, then I have a reason to love you
Yes,
because
yes.
of the soul connection.
All right, then. Thank you. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kadambari Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I read the English translations of chapter 2 before joining this session. So I was not able to understand clearly verse 26 and 39. So if you could just briefly, because it's my first reading, so just briefly if you could explain.
What is verse 26?
Chapter 2, verse 26 and verse 39. 26 and 39.
Soul will always be born and die forever. You still have no reason to love. Yeah, so Mataji is giving different angles of vision to describe the soul in the body. He first of all describes the chemical property, the physical property. And then he says, this is the chemical property of the soul. You know, have you heard of that definition of energy? Energy is neither created nor destroyed, that law of conservation of energy. It is like that. And okay, if you're thinking that this soul is will be born and will be dying, then it's like a chemical because energy will be conserved. You still have no reason to lament because whatever is born will die and will die. Whoever is dying will be born again. You can't really stop this cycle. So your lamentation is not going to sit well over there.
So there they are just treating soul as only energy.
He's giving different point of views of understanding of the soul to Arjuna. Okay. And this is one point of view covering that, okay, if you think that soul is, you think that when you're going to kill your grandfather and you think that the soul inside in the body will kill for the sake of talk, for the sake of discussion, you think that the soul will also die. You still have no reason to lament because if it will die, it will not disappear. It will still be conserved. It will take birth again. Okay, on the same ground that energy can never be destroyed and nor can it be made. It's just there. Still, you have no reason to lament, O mighty Arjuna.
Okay. And
I'm just giving you a principle. I'm not giving detailed explanation. What was the other one? 39?
39, yes.
Thank you for reading, Mataji. This is a very nice. Thus far, I have described to you this knowledge, describe this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain in terms of working without fruitive results, O son of Pritha, which when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from bondage of work. Yeah, so analytical knowledge means is Sankhya. He was giving Sankhya, he was giving analysis. Soul, the size of the soul is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. The soul lives in the body. Soul is going around the body in 5 years. So, he's giving all these things. So that's analysis. But now he's saying enough of analysis. Now listen about Nishkam Karma Yoga. That you work, but you will be released from the bondage of the work. That he is introducing the concept of Nishkam Karma Yoga here. When you act in such knowledge, in terms of fruiting without fruitive results. So you're going to work. Working is not prohibited, but you're not going to be affected by the result. So this is the definition of Nishkam Karma Yoga.
So we do the work, whatever we are supposed to do. We do our work and we don't worry about the consequences.
That's one aspect. That's one. But not like whatever we're supposed to do. We do the work for Krishna. Whatever's the work we are supposed to do for Krishna, then we don't get to worry about the consequences. For example, I am giving this class. I am not an elevated soul, but for sake of giving example, because you can relate to it, it doesn't matter to me whether 10 people come or 200 come. I still have to give the class. I am not going to stop giving because less people came. Like that.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
I want to know the difference between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga, which you were mentioning.
Yeah. So the suffix itself is different. Karma Kand. Rupa Mataji explains it very well. Mataji, do you want to explain? Rupa Mataji, Karma Kand and Karma Yoga.
Karma yoga is like Nishkarma Karma yoga, where you are offering your activities and your results to Krishna. So both are done towards Krishna. So that is Nishkama Karma. So that is Karma yoga. Karma Kanda is when you are doing your duty. Actually, here you are offering your activities to Krishna. Is that clear, Mataji?
Thank you, Mataji. So karma kanda is that, have you heard of the people doing Vedic sacrifices for the sake of fulfilling their desire? For example, if somebody doesn't have a child and they're advised, okay, you do this sacrifice and then you're going to get a child.
Yes.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, yes.
Or, right? So like that is karma kanda activity. That's not devotional service to Krishna. I do a sacrifice, I perform some austerity, but the enjoyer is me, not Krishna. That's karma kand. Okay, and then karma yoga. The word yoga means linking oneself with God. So karma yoga means I do activity, but with that activity, just by performing that activity, I link myself with Krishna. For example, Arjuna, when he agrees to fight at the end, he's gonna fight, but he's gonna fight it as devotional service to Krishna because he understands that Krishna wants him to fight.
Okay.
Okay, so that will become, because he's now gonna fight for Krishna. Initially, he's refusing to fight for his own sense gratification, this reason or that reason.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Krishna. Shri Vidya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
In this chapter 2 today, you explain between sloka 63 to 72. It talks about the contemplation of senses, that is attachment, which leads to lust, anger, delusion, intelligent loss, and then finally it leads to the material pole. So the attachment here, I couldn't get it. What kind of attachment is it? Whether it's related to the family members, how we are attached? I couldn't get that point. And another second question of mine was, it is between the physical body and the soul. The physical body, it dies, but the soul, it doesn't die. It is an eternal thing. So the soul, it takes the birth immediately. But as per our rituals, what it tells is the soul to reach to the heaven, it takes nearly 1 year, and then the birth happens. I don't know whether the second question is little bit related to the second chapter, or I'll get an answer for this in later chapters. I want to know.
So your first question is that, tell me your first question again, please.
Yeah, it's about the attachment, contemplation of.
So yeah, contemplation of the senses. While contemplating the objects of senses, one develops attachment for it. For example, if somebody is working very hard in the week, and then the mind is saying, work hard, but Friday night we'll go to the bar and enjoy this particular drink, this particular wine. That is contemplation of objects of senses. So the tongue wants to taste that. So the tongue is a sense, and the object of the tongue is that wine. So I'm thinking, when will my tongue get in touch with that wine? When will my tongue get in touch with that wine? So I'm thinking. And I develop attachment that yes, I must do it. Yes, just go through the week. Let Friday night come. So that is what it means. That kind of an attachment. Attachment to anyone.
But the thing is, see, even after working hard, and if I get a success in that particular thing which I have taken the task, so don't I feel an attachment? Yes, I have done it. I deserve it. Yes, I need to do all such kinds of like going out. Like, I'm just asking you.
Mataji, yeah, so that we'll discuss tomorrow also. That's a lower level of attachment. You can have attachment is of many degrees. Okay. Attachment is not prohibited. The regulation of attachment is advised. Attachment is not prohibited. I'm going to show you some verse from 3rd chapter. It's a 3rd chapter, 34th verse. Anyway, we can be attached to anything and anyone, but it has to be through Krishna. If it is not through Krishna, then that attachment is going to give misery at the end. Okay, so it's going to become a reason for misery, one time or the other. So Mataji, if you can read this, 3rd chapter, 34th verse, please read this. Are you unmuted, muted? Can you read it?
Muted. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Okay, okay.
Okay, so the attachment is not prohibited, but we have to regulate the attachment. What am I going to get attached to, and what am I not going to get attached to?
Okay.
So, okay.
Yeah, I got it. Of the second question,
Mataji, that at once happens when one is going to Krishna. When my body will leave this soul, when my soul will leave this body, and if my destination is Krishna, Vaikuntha, or Goloka Vrindavan, then at once it goes. But if it still has to circulate here, there in the material world, upper planet, lower planet, this body, that body, then it takes time. Then the birth is not at once.
okay.
Okay.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Vijay Lakshmi Mataji, I think you asked questions. So I'm going to come back to you at the end. So V. Guhan, please go ahead. And then Vijay Sarthi. Please unmute yourself, both of you. V. Guhan and Vijay Sarthi. Vijay Sarthi Prabhu, you can go ahead. I think V. Guhan Prabhu is having problem. Please unmute yourself, Vijay Sarthi R. Prabhu.
Hello. Hare
Yes,
Krishna
V.
Mataji.
Guhan. Yeah, Hare Krishna. 1 second, Prabhu. V. Guhan Prabhu, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, madam. Yesterday you spoke about this Mahabharata is history, isn't it, madam? Yesterday.
So, what is your question, Prabhu?
Yes. I'm telling you. I'm coming to that. If history means there should be some evidence, it needs some evidence. Actually, where I can see it or where one can get it.
Well, you have to, there are so many evidences. Archaeologists have found so many evidences of Mahabharata. Go to Kurukshetra, go to Delhi. So many
Because
evidences.
I went to this Dwaraka temple twice and visited the temple also. I spoke with some learned people there. But that even the temple which was built there, it is not able to, they are not which king has built it or not, they are not able to say.
You have to
You
reach.
understand?
Your question is about Mahabharata or Dwarka. They're two different pastimes.
No, when Krishna, without Krishna, Krishna ruled there from Mahabharata. Krishna is part of Mahabharata, isn't it?
If you want
No,
evidence
life
for
and birth.
Mahabharata, there are a lot of evidences. The archaeologists have found a lot of evidences that it happened. It is recorded in the history. If you want to physically keep those evidences.
Yeah, I saw the inscription, but I failed to see that inscription or something like that. I could not get anything.
I have been to Kurukshetra. They have so much evidence from what happened. Archaeologists have made so many. There's a museum. There is a museum of Mahabharata war in Kurukshetra.
Because without Krishna, there is no Mahabharata, isn't it?
Yes, but this question is not of the scope from today's chapter, so I'm not going to answer any further. I'm going to go ahead.
Okay.
If you want, you can go to Delhi and Kurukshetra and you can find the evidence. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you.
Vijay Sarthi Prabhu. Then Megha Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Raji. I guess Krishna's teachings to Arjuna has to be adapted by all of us in our own life. If that was so, then I guess all of us have to use our discrimination and vivek to analyze and see if what our elders or guru or relatives what they say or what they ask us to do, and only obey if our discrimination tells us that they are right. If they are wrong or on the wrong side, if it's a dharma, then we should not. We should oppose. Am I right?
So you are right in the understanding that we have to use our own discrimination. Even at the end of Bhagavad Gita in 18th chapter, Krishna is going to give a choice to Arjuna. Yathechasi tatha kuru. Means now I have told you whatever I have to say, but now yatha echasi tatha kuru. Whatever you desire, you discriminate, and whatever you decide, you do. So the choice is always in our hand. But then the problem is that the place where you're hearing it from has to be very, very bona fide. Okay, it cannot be just anybody off the street telling you about Bhagavad Gita. It has to be in a disciplic succession. Like, for example, if you want to become an engineer, you're not going to go to your neighbor's house and learn engineering. There is a bona fide process to adopt that knowledge, right? Like that, if you want to adopt Krishna consciousness, then it has to be in a bona fide parampara. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. We take these references.
What I meant was, if we find our elders not on the right side, but they are on the wrong side of things, be it our own parents or a guru or a teacher or any relative for that matter, if we find true to our own Vivek that they are on the side of what is wrong and what is right, then we should protest, we should fight against it, correct?
I don't know if you should fight against it. You can just humbly agree not to disagree. Why do you have to fight against it? Anyway, but if a guru is not talking about Krishna, then he's not a guru. Then he has fallen down from the position. The definition of a guru is they will talk about Krishna and
Yeah,
they will make other
generally,
person Krishna.
guru meaning master in any field or any
No,
elder.
that's
or
your
any,
definition.
yeah,
a
that's what
teacher. That's your
Correct.
definition. That's not the Shastric definition. Shastric definition of a guru is Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. Yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. Dhyans tuvans
I'm
tasya
not-
yasya sandhyam. Go ahead.
Okay, that's true. I am not denying that. What I was saying was any elder, we need not follow them unless and until we are convinced that they are on the right side.
And how will you get convinced? What is your conviction based on? If
That's
I may
based
ask.
on our own Vivek, on our own discussion.
There's a problem there because then you are listening to your mind and not someone else's mind. That discrimination
it
or
is only
conviction
the
has to be based on, the decision has to be based on the evidence of guru, spiritual master, sadhu, saintly people, shastras, scriptures.
Krishna is just saying that, na? That if the elders are on the wrong side, you take up arms against them. He's just informed,
Where is
or
he
rather
saying? What's your
preached that.
reference? Where is he saying that?
He's telling Arjun that if these people are on the
Where?
wrong side of karma, so you take up arms against them. Similarly, in our own practical life,
No,
even if
Prabhu, I think we are gonna just go on arguing. I don't get that reference that